Pacalo Papito, this is a new series I'm just going to talk about, and it's about the NFL teams and how they got to what they did. This series is going to be called Narrative, and I'm going to start off with the Jets because they are trash, and I want to see what got them there. So I went out and did the research to help you guys understand where I'm coming from. So, this transformation that went from good to bad started in 2015. Their last good season in 2015 was under coach Todd Bowles. And they had Ryan Fitzmagic, and they recently acquired Brandon Marshall. They did not qualify for the playoffs. That is depressing when you go 10-6. But they had a lot of good players like Darrelle Revis, Brandon Marshall, Nick Mangold, Chris Ivory, and Muhammad Wilkerson. They drafted Leonard Williams from USC with the 6th overall pick, and he had a lot of hype attached to him. I mean, he didn't live up to the hype, let's be honest here, but in free agency that season, again, they signed Darrelle Revis and Buster Skrine, but acquiring Patrick and Marshall from trades that were good were the best deals because they both had very good seasons. Fitzpatrick threw for 31 touchdowns that season, and Brandon Marshall posted a 1,000-yard plus season, and he was instrumental to Fitzpatrick's best season as a player. But in 2016, they were terrible. They finished 5-11, and they didn't do too much to their roster. Their draft didn't go well. They drafted Darren Lee with the 20th pick, and he wasn't good. And Ryan Fitzpatrick and Brandon Marshall aged a little bit there. They didn't look very good. I know that Ryan Fitzpatrick was a cheap extension that they signed. They signed a 1-year extension with him because he was having a good season, then he didn't play well. And they didn't pick up too many free agents, and their biggest one I could think of was a washed up Matt Forte. Their Pro Bowlers was only Leonard Williams, and yeah, it wasn't going too well, but in 2017 it only got worse. I mean, they were the same record, but they had to get rid of so many players because they were either washed up or they retired. They had to get rid of Brandon Marshall, Nick Mangold, Ryan Clady, and Eric Decker because they were all old and washed up. I feel bad because, hey, they did that and they had a very, very good draft with Jamal Adams and Marcus May, who's still at the team for some odd reason. I think he's one of their best players that they have, besides CJ Mosley, but I don't know how CJ Mosley is going to be playing. And I feel bad that Jamal Adams was put into this situation because they were terrible. In 2018, they were 4-12, and that's the season when they drafted Sam Darnold. He has not been great, but it's not all his fault. He had to deal with Todd Bowles and Adam Gase. I don't think those are the two most ideal coaches you want if you want to develop. And they don't have any receivers. They've not had a receiver since Brandon Marshall. I mean, Quincy Enunwa was having a nice last year. He got injured. They gave up Sheldon Richardson, another very good player for and a 7th rounder for a 2nd and 7th with Jermaine Kearse, which he was washed up then. Their Pro Bowlers were Andre Roberts as a special teamer, Jamal Adams, and Jason Myers, which was good for them. And then they finally showed some progress when they got 7-9. They got rid of Todd Bowles last season so they can hire Adam Gase. To be fair though, Adam Gase was okay. He wasn't a good coach, but he did lead the Dolphins to the playoffs at one point. Admittedly, they got killed because they did not have Ryan Tannehill, but Matt Moore as their quarterback at one point, but it wasn't good. They didn't have that bad of a season. They had a really good stretch at the end of the season for some unknown reason. I mean, Jamal Adams was their only all-team first pro and their only Pro Bowler. And they drafted Quinnen Williams, which might have seemed great back then, but now they want to get rid of him for a 2nd-round pick. They drafted him last year. What's the point of giving up on a player? The only other case I can think of that recently was Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray was drafted to replace him, even though Josh Rosen was just drafted a season earlier. Terrible. I mean, it looked good. They signed Le'Veon Bell and CJ Mosley, Jamison Crowder. So things were looking up. Yeah, I know they finished 2 more wins, but I feel like they wanted to take it a step further because CJ Mosley and Le'Veon Bell were 2 highly rated free agents, and I was excited for them again. but they were very, very underwhelming. CJ Mosley is injured and Le'Veon Bell is out of the team, which isn't good, and this season they have been having the worst season possible. This is Sam Darnold's first touchdown pass since week 3. Week 3, what? I know that he's missed some games, but still, this is terrible. They don't have receivers. They lost Robbie Anderson this offseason, which he's been doing very well on the Panthers, and oh my god, they need to tank heavily. And the coaches even admit they want to tank. I mean, it's the way they are playing that make me see that they want to tank, but still, it's not good. They need to do so much before they even want to dream of Pro Bowl. So let's see what they need to do. But first, let's go on to the worst moves, because there are many worse moves. Darren Lee was one. Darren Lee was not very good for the Jets, and re-signing Ryan Fitzpatrick to a 1-year deal was not good. But to be fair, he had a very good year, so no one expected him to have a terrible year like he did. And the worst of the worst was Mosley and Bell to heavy deals. They can't get out and spend on the free agency market because they had those 2 deals. Now Bell left for nothing. They released Bell, and Mosley's only played 4 games in 2 seasons with them, and he's been injured. The drafting hasn't been too good, and when they do draft well, like 2017 when they had Jamal Adams and Marcus May, they can't really hold on too long. So in order to go back to being 10-6, or even being in talks for playoff, not even in the playoff, they need to hold on to Marcus May and Jamison Crowder. And they're going to probably have to draft Trevor Lawrence, because, I don't think Sam Darnold's the right QB in the environment that you currently have, and they need to sign receivers along with Jamison Crowder to help him, and they need to give him an environment to seed instead of Sam Darnold. Thanks for watching this video. We'll be on the road to 30 subscribers, and we will possibly be going for more, and we will try to upload as much as we can so we can see you guys be happy from watching our videos, and we just want to spread positivity and peace.